Martin Luther King came to public notice in 1955 as a young Protestant minister in Montgomery, Alabama, in helping to lead a boycott of the city's bus system, which segregated seats between whites and Negroes, as they were called at the time. Negroes were to sit in the back of the bus. From then on, he was a leading figure in the movement for civil rights. However, he always saw the civil rights movement in the United States as part of a larger world current. He said, "Something is happening all over the world. The oppressed people of the world are rising up. They are revolting against colonialism, imperialism, and other systems of oppression." He added, "Let us be dissatisfied until our brothers and sisters of Africa, Asia, and Latin America will no longer be victims of imperialist exploitation, but will be lifted from the long night of poverty, illiteracy, and disease." In 1964, he was awarded the Nobel Prize for Peace. He was a champion of Mahatma Gandhi's techniques of nonviolent action. However, he believed in the value of international organizations, particularly the United Nations, saying, "In our modern world, peace is indivisible. The United Nations is the only intergovernmental organization whose first objective is to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war." At the heart of King's ethical values was a desire for mutual respect and cooperation. He stressed that each person ought to respect all other persons as ends in themselves, and as far as possible to cooperate with others in the protection and enjoyment of shared values. However, by 1965, 10 years after the start of his civil rights campaigns, he felt that he no longer shared values with the U.S. government that was increasing its violent war in Vietnam. The wife of Martin Luther King, Coretta, was already active in the movement against the war in Vietnam. Other leaders in the movement for the equality of Negroes advised King not to speak out on the Vietnam issue, as it would cause confusion in the minds of people as to what King was advocating. When King spoke out publicly against the war in Vietnam, he highlighted that creative dissenters were needed to challenge the clamor of war hysteria. He said, "We must demonstrate, teach, and preach until the very foundations of our nation are shaken. We must work unceasingly to lift this nation which we love to a higher destiny, to a new plateau of compassion, to a more noble expression of humanness." He made efforts, as citizens of the world do, to try to bring together persons from different positions, different ideologies, and different religious convictions to study how to resolve the armed conflict in Vietnam and to alter the frozen official attitudes of governments. He said, "We must now give an overriding loyalty to mankind as a whole in order to preserve the best in our individual societies." Martin Luther King was assassinated on 4 April 1968, and thus he did not see the start of the negotiations in Paris, which led to the end of U.S. active participation in the war, nor to the 1975 reunification of Vietnam. However, he stands out as one of the creative voices and actors of nonviolence as a method of conflict resolution and efforts to find common interests from which we can build a harmonious society.